With the Blu-ray and DVD release of the Bocchi the Rock compilation films, it's finally time for me to break free from the padded room of secrecy and unleash my review, along with my unfiltered thoughts. Having watched both films in theaters last year, and as someone who has an insane schizophrenic obsession over this anime, in this video, we'll be reviewing Bocchi the Rock Re and Bocchi the Rock Re. Let's start off with the first compilation film, Bocchi the Rock Re, and why I think this was the inferior compilation film compared to the second. Just to clarify the viewer, these films are compilation films that don't expand the story of the anime series. Instead, they serve as a condensed retelling of the first season's events tailored for a cinematic audience. And I mean by condensed, as the first compilation film had to deal with condensing 8 episodes in 90 minutes. Technically around 87 minutes since there's the opening and credits. That's an insane amount of trimming and cutting. It's like shoving as many people as you can inside an MRT or LRT train if you are a fellow Pinoys. This has led to the movie being framed differently from the series. As Wolfie pointed out, the first compilation film shifts the focus away from the slice of life moments and instead hones in on Bocchi and the band's overarching story. In fact, there were many great jokes from the series yeeted out from the movie. But the biggest sucker of them all? The complete omission of an episode. Seriously, it's gone without a trace. Not even featured in a montage or whatnot. As if it didn't exist at all. Like it wasn't real. Like Nijika who is just a delusion. Eh? What? Oi, who wrote this script? Other than the omission of some of my favorite jokes and scenes, the pacing was something else. To be brutally honest, even if they tried their best, it just felt super rushed without allowing some very important and emotional scenes to simmer. It's not as bad as trying to understand a YouTube short or TikTok video, but I feel the events of episode 1 to 8 were put on 2x speed, demanding you to pay attention to have a small grasp of what the heck is going on, especially if this is your first time watching the franchise. In terms of new additions, the only main one is the opening of the film. Utilizing the song Shine as Usual, this opening showcases the daily lives of the main girls before the events of the anime take place. This might have been news to you if you have followed the official Twitter account of Bocchi the Rock, as they have sent screenshots of this opening. This is actually a welcome addition, as you see Bocchi being a pink creature, Ryo playing for her previous band, Nijika helping out at Starry, and Kid up balling! She's actually balling! Oh my god! Kid up balling! Let's go! Other than that, however, if you consider it as an addition, are the various montages that play throughout the film to further simplify the story. These montages utilize songs that were not featured in the original anime, offering some viewers who have not heard of these songs a new experience. Though seriously, if you haven't listened to all of Kesugaban's songs, you're committing a massive sin. And the last addition, if my memory serves me right, were some added frames. Yep, literal frames to some scenes, either to prolong a particular moment or show from a different angle. These frames were most likely handled by the GOAT Kiraria, as he is the one who made the posters and probably animated most of the opening. I do have somewhat of a gripe as the character designs are different from the original. I think this will be the designs of the characters once the inevitable season 2 arrives. However, it does ruin a bit of the immersion, as even if the anime is well known for its varying depictions of the characters, this newer or updated design feels out of place, and it's very obvious there are last minute additions. Compared to other compilation films, this was disappointing for many, which is an already low bar to begin with, as compilation films tend to have a mixed sentiment from the general anime community. Many compilation films would put some effort into incorporating new scenes or moments, but this one in particular did not add anything new to the story that we haven't seen already from the series. They didn't even make full versions of the songs! Still, I do not regret watching this film in the cinema one bit. The experience of seeing the characters in the massive screen, and the fact that this is officially the first ever film I watched in the cinema, is something I will never forget. The soundstage also was immersive and surreal, especially during the live performances. I still cried like the schizo I am during the end of episode 8. While us watching it alongside a few of my friends I made in real life and on Discord was the icing on the cake, with every live reaction we made a core memory that I will look back on with happiness. Despite its shortcomings to me and to a lot of avid fans, some even think it's a waste of money to watch this compilation film. I am quite impressed by how this film alone performed beyond expectations in the Japanese box office, setting a new precedent for compilation films, indicating how active the fandom is after almost 3 years in limbo waiting for season 2. Overall, I think this compilation film had too much to handle. I believe they ended up with a still enjoyable experience for most audiences, but I do not recommend this film to be your first experience of the world of Bocchi the Rock, as several beloved scenes were compiled into montages, rushed to the limits, or omitted out of existence. If you want to enjoy Bocchi the Rock, just watch the original anime. So yeah, I feel like it's a meh and a tough sell for existing fans. But I hope asking you to like and subscribe won't be a tough sell. If you're enjoying the video so far, then you know the drill. Compared to Re, the second compilation film benefits from having fewer episodes to condense, making for a much more cinematic experience. As Koenig pointed out, the second half is far more enjoyable, featuring some new scenes while still keeping most of the original content intact. This allows the story to breathe more naturally, rather than feeling like a rushed recap. Umamasume highlighted how the pacing in Riri felt much more relaxed than in Ri, even though the runtime is now 77 minutes shorter than the first compilation film. The biggest strength of this film was its focus on Bocchi and Kita. The film immediately immerses us in Kita's perspective on Bocchi, capturing both the first time meeting and the pivotal moment during the band's debut concert. It also concludes with a scene involving Bocchi and Kita, subtly suggesting, perhaps mischievously, that this could secretly be a Bokita propaganda film. Or maybe not. Other than better pacing, the second compilation film actually provided new scenes. These new scenes provided more substance to Kita's efforts in supporting Bocchi leading up to the school festival performance. Looking back on these scenes, it added more credibility to how much Kita supports and admires Bocchi. From this alone, if you're a die-hard Bokita fan, I'd recommend watching this film as soon as possible. There is also a new ending at the very end. It's not exactly as in new, but it added more significance to Bocchi's growth throughout the 12 episodes. It sure left me having goosebumps seeing that scene and being proud of her character. Bocchi, you're such an OP protagonist. I can't wait to make a better character analysis for you. Lastly, in terms of changes, is another new opening with the song Doppelganger. Again, you might have seen stills of this already on Twitter and might have also noticed the different character designs that I pointed out with the first film. Alongside the performance shots, this opening also served as a montage for what the band was doing during the sharp break to set up the events of episode 9. And what made this second film work better for me on a personal level is I got to attend the fan screening of this film here in the Philippines. Compared to 3, the cinema was actually packed with fellow Bocchi the Rock fans. The joint reactions and laughter was on another tier. I still remember many of the interactions I had before, during, and after watching the film. I even got to make a few acquaintances along the way that I met again in a convention on a later date. Also, I met some fans of the channel, but they never got to recognize me until it was too late. Still, there were some moments that were cut out for the sake of simplicity and focus. Like the first film, these were the slice of life moments. I think it's pretty clear on how these films were directed with a focus on the growth of the characters and their dynamics together. The first film's execution has a lot to be desired, but the second's execution with its clear focus on just 2 characters really was satisfactory with only minor gripes. Is it absolute cinema? Not really, as even if the newer scenes made some credibility to the points I yapped about in the Kita character analysis video, it is still a compilation film at the end of the day without even a freaking post-credit scene. This is hilarious. My friends and I walked out during the credits of the first film, but for the second, the entire audience, myself included, stayed glued to our seats, eagerly waiting for any kind of post-credit tease for season 2. But alas, all we got was a black screen. It would have been absolute peak if they had thrown in just 3 seconds of a season 2 teaser featuring Yoyoko and the future cast from the manga. Sadly, with no official green light for season 2, as of recording, we missed out on what could have been an insane moment. Overall, it was a way better compilation film compared to the first. I would recommend watching this no matter if you're new or an existing fan, as they executed this one much better than the first. I think the saying less is more can be applied to the context of these 2 films. With having less material to condense, they were able to have a better pacing, add more significant newer scenes, and even incorporate creative elements to provide a unique experience from the show. Okay, I am making a separate section just to talk about the spoilers from the compilation films. If you haven't watched the films yet and vowed not to get spoiled, this is your last call to skip to the next part of this video. Also, I'll be basing off of my memory alone as it is impossible to watch these films before the Blu-ray and DVD versions go on sale. So if I miss a scene or moment, comment down below but indicate that it's a spoiler for those who haven't watched the movies yet. First off, Ri's changes to the original anime were not that great as I stated earlier, especially with the entire removal of episode 7. This for me was such a painful move as we skipped the only episode where Bocchi's family is at the center of attention. It downplayed Bocchi's home life and it felt like it took the same approach the manga took towards Bocchi's family. That also means one of my favorite jokes from the anime, the one involving the sports festival, was gone. And yeah, probably the Bocchi Asu sequence as well. Fortunately, it did not ruin the plot and flow of the story, but damn, I'm still salty that I didn't get to see that episode on the massive screen. Back again with the pacing, I know we can't get enough with the pacing on the first film. Within the first few minutes, 3 of the main characters are introduced and the story is already moving at full speed, which kinda ruins the establishment of Bocchi's struggles with social anxiety. Instead of letting key moments play out naturally, the film often just shows a song over a montage, skipping over crucial developments. I feel bad especially for Ryo, as the only good character writing she got was the opening where we see her life with her previous band. For the rest of the movie, she wasn't given much love and attention that she deserves. Fortunately, the second half of the movie slowed down a bit on its pacing. However, I have an irritation with how episode 8 was edited. If you were to get rid of episode 7, then you shouldn't have made drastic changes to the events of episode 8 as well. Pretty much cutting out the izakaya scenes left no room for the audience to breathe in between the peak Anobanda performance and the legendary Nichiga monologue scene. Even though I still teared up at that moment, as I mentioned earlier, I believe more audiences should fully grasp the significance of the anime's best ever episode. The performances should have included full versions of the songs. That was my biggest expectation for these films. But no, they're still the same length. While they may have sounded significantly better in the cinema, I was still disappointed that I didn't get to hear the entire songs with new animations. Some montages felt unnecessarily cramped, sacrificing depth for brevity. The runaway guitarist scene, if I remember correctly, was reduced to a montage, which I found particularly frustrating. This scene was crucial for Kita's reconnection with Nichiga no Yo and for showcasing Kita's anxious side, yet it was glossed over. In fact, I think they had so many montages of the first film that it just became an expectation. Oh, okay, they're ending this wonderful scene. What's next? A montage? Oh dear, I was right all along. Sorry, but I'm kinda pissed from the montages. Though hearing songs like Hidori Bocchi Tokyo, Secret Base, etc. was a pleasant surprise. That being said, let's talk about Riri. As stated earlier, I love the new scenes featuring Kita practicing guitar under the guidance of Ryo. Even if they were seen in yet another montage, I can't forgive as the team actually put in the effort other than editing to add more weight to the dynamic between Bocchi and Kita. And the best addition by far was the ending of Riri. The entire series rewinding back to Bocchi's childhood was an emotional gut punch. Seeing all of her growth from the very beginning really hits home how much she has changed. The final shot of Bocchi as a child being led by her teacher after no one wanted to play with her was such a compelling directorial choice. It perfectly encapsulated her journey from isolation to where she is right now with Kesukuban. That scene alone, after watching everything, is a certified absolute cinema moment. Ultimately, these are compilation films. Let's not get into a debate over personal opinions on this type of anime films or question the reasoning behind the two movies. I just hope it's the sign Cloverworks needs to greenlight season 2. You are technically fine with just watching the anime, and I absolutely recommend watching the original anime first before considering these films. But if you still want to check them out, then I'll quote Konic's suggestion to watch the original series first, skip the first half of Riri, and then watch Riri entirely. And if by miracle this film screen again in your local cinema, then by all means, watch it there. Not only will you enjoy being blinded by Kita on a massive screen, if there are other people watching the film with you, then it's going to be a very fun experience. As for buying the Blu-ray or DVD versions and watching it at home, that's a tougher sell, as you can just watch the series instead. Though I know some of you might still buy just for those good old merch. Please fund for season 2. Thank you so much for watching this video. I know you were surprised that this isn't the Kikiri character analysis, but sadly, my co-script writer is currently drowning in schoolwork and I desperately wanted to upload again. If you notice as well the shorter and lesser quality, that's because these videos are mainly me rambling discussion type videos. Let me know if I should make more of these videos as they are easier to produce than the soul-sucking documentaries this channel is known for. Shout out to the channel members for their endless support for this channel and for you, the regular viewer who enjoys all of the content. See you at the next video or in the live streams. Okay, off I go. Bye!